Frank, founder and CEO of Costa Rica Matchmakers. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about matchmaking in Costa Rica and comparing it to matchmaking in the Philippines and in China. As I've discussed in other videos, some of the things that you need to consider when you are looking for romance overseas is the cost. And one of the big costs is the cost of travel.
Holy shiatsu massage! Economy plus! It hurts a little, but I like it.
And when you talk about the cost of travel, you have two considerations. One is the time, and the other is the financial cost. The cost of travel to coming to Costa Rica is very reasonable. You can find airfares traditionally in the $400 to $500 range, and additionally, the time of travel is much less. A flight from Florida or Los Angeles to San Jose, Costa Rica, it's approximately 2.5 hours. If you go to Chicago or New York, you're looking at 5-6 hour flight time. When you compare that to a flight from Chicago to, say, Beijing, the PRC, or somewhere in the Philippines, you are looking at a flight time of over 18 hours, certainly looking at potentially 48 hours of travel. The cost of flying to the Philippines is very expensive. It starts out at approximately $1,200 and could go all the way up to $1,600. Now, I'm sure there's some people out there that'll tell you it's less, and you can find it, on other cost carriers, and I know that there's ways out there, but there's no denying that traveling to the Philippines is going to be a 24 to 48 hour adventure, and certainly it's going to cost you $1,000 approximately, give or take. When you're traveling to China, it's going to be very similar. It's a little shorter flight time from the United States. However, what you're going to encounter in terms of cost and the ability to get in and to move freely is another totally separate issue. So, when you look at those factors, I tell people when you are looking at overseas romance, again, not is it only the initial cost and time of your trip. Sometimes a relationship takes more than 1 or 2 trips to iron out your differences or make sure you're on the same page. Again, you may be going back and forth for trips in the future if things do work out. Now you're buying 2 tickets to go to China or the Philippines, and so not only is it very costly, it's a lot of time. When you compare that to Costa Rica is really a great place to consider. So when we talk about the cost of romance, we look at, honestly, why are we going on these journeys? And ultimately it comes down to the woman that caught your eye, or the type of women that catch your eye, and you want to explore what possibilities are out there for you. And that's great. But some of the things as North American males we have to look at is the culture and the type of person that you're going to be interacting with. Now, some of you may be familiar with the Chinese and the Philippine culture more than myself. I don't have a lot of experience in it. However, I have dated Chinese women. And from my experience, I can tell you is they are very attached to their culture. They will try to get you to assimilate to a large degree to their traditions and their style of living. I'm not saying that's good or bad, wrong. You may like that or you may not like that, but that's something to strongly consider. Also too, you have to look at what their expectations are going to be if they enter a relationship with you and come to the United States. I would say that your potential for having difficulty of meeting those financial costs, the escalated costs or obligations might become more and more challenging the deeper you go into the relationship. As far as Costa Rican women, I find that they're very easy to get along with in a lot of cases. Now there's all kinds of snowflakes that fall from the sky, so not every person is the same. However, in my experience in dating down here, I find that the women are a little more open-minded when it comes to certain topics and certain aspects of living, whether it be how many kids you have, how many previous marriages you have, where you come from, what your economic background is. The Costa Rican women are really looking for what are you going to contribute to their lifestyle. And I'm not necessarily talking about finances, I'm talking about support, emotional, financial as well. There's no romance without finance. But they look, I think, in a broader scale, and they balance it all out. That's why I think that when you're looking at overseas romance, Costa Rica is really a wise choice. So when we go overseas to meet the woman of our dreams, the love of our life, our better half, however you may refer to her in the future, you are traveling to a foreign country. Many people who are going out of the country, it is the first time, or when they're going for romance, it is the first time out of the country. So you want to realize, what are you traveling into? Different rules, different laws, different regulations. The old adage, I'm an American, doesn't get you out of jail.
Is it for what? Arresting me for what? I'm not allowed to stand up for myself? I thought this was America. Huh? Isn't this America? I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
Not that there's anything illegal that you're doing necessarily, but you could put yourself, due to unfortunate political climates, into situations that could be amped up or escalated or used against you very quickly. What I would tell you is China and Philippines are not really known as having stable political climates. We know that the PRC is run by a communist dictatorship.
You prisoners here?
Some people said Pooh looked like the Chinese president, so we're illegal in China now.
Jesus, what kind of madhouse is this?
And the president of the Philippines, while he's democratically elected, flips back and forth as to whether he wants to be associated with China or the United States. I don't think either one of those are very safe climates, and when you project that out over on a long-term basis, you have to question that. When you compare that to Costa Rica, Costa Rica has been a stable country, no army since 1948, friends and allies, business partners on many fronts with the American government, has worked cooperatively with the American government on fights of drug trafficking and however political stability in the region. So Costa Rica has a great relationship with the current and previous administrations. And those things can be important, especially when you're entering the visa process application or when you're just traveling back and forth, the ease of travel. So in that area, definitely Costa Rica carries a big advantage over the other countries. So when we talk about international matchmaking and romance and love abroad, we also have to look into the traditions of each culture. So when you look at the Chinese and the Philippine culture, you can see, or you'll understand that it's based in centuries and centuries of tradition. So it's very steeped in, I'm not going to say ironclad, but not very flexible. Versus the Costa Rican culture is a younger culture. It's a developing culture, and the people identify, and I'm not going to say assimilate with the United States well, but have a mutual understanding, respect, desire that makes it much easier to be able to work a relationship. I would also say language. Unless you speak the Chinese or the Philippine language, it's not a very easy language to adapt to. However, Spanish is a very prominent language, not even, certainly in Costa Rica, it's the national language. However, in the United States, it's very prominent. There's signs in Spanish all over, especially if you live in a major metropolitan area. There's even classes, schooling available in Spanish. It's a much different world as far as the language and the culture and the assimilation into the American culture. So that's something to give a lot of consideration to. So guys, I hope you found some of this information on video helpful. And if you did, make sure you like the video, subscribe to Costa Rica Matchmakers so you get notified and stay in tune with all of our information that comes out. Hit the notification bell as well, and any comments, will be read, and we'll have a link down below to our website, www.CostaRicaMatchmakers.com. Thanks for watching.